So, very good afternoon, all of you. If someone can indicate that I am clearly audible or visible, there is no indication, I guess. So, first of all, I must start with a brief introduction of mine. I am Rohil Oberoi from a research scholar of political science in the Center for Study of Social Exclusion, Punjab University, Chandigarh. And I would like to extend my gratitude towards the Department of Higher Education, Haryana, who gave me an opportunity or a chance to deliberate upon Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar's, Baba Saheb's ideas in the new millennium. When I say the new India, that means in the new millennium, in the next century. Uh, and today is a big day in other sense that today is Baisakhi also, and Lord Mahavira's Jayanti is also, and I must congratulate all the Indians to on this auspicious day. But my topic of deliberation is the relevance of the Ambedkar's ideas in New India. Much has been available, much has been read, much has been deliberated upon since the India became an independent person about the Ambedkar. And we all know, if I talk about his brief introduction of his life, in which his father was a soldier. Ambedkar's birth on 14th of April 1891, and in 1907 he did his matrix from Mumbai's Elphinstone's college, and thereafter he went to the Columbia University. After coming back, he again went to London School of Economics, where he studied law. Also, he came back to India again. He met शिवाजी's लीनिएज, उनके वंशज जो साहू जी महाराज से मिलते हैं, उनके कहने पर डॉक्टर साहब मूक नायक पत्रिका शुरू करते हैं. फिर उनको एक स्कॉलरशिप मिलता है. देन ही अगेन गोज टू अब्रॉड. इन 1936 ही केम बैक टू इंडिया. He launched his first political party called Independent Labour Party. 1947, we all know he became the cabinet minister in the first cabinet of the independent India. Then he was elevated to the role of the drafting committee chairman, and on 6th of December 1956 he dies. That was a brief introduction about the person of today. But I am to deliberate upon his relevance of the ideas. We all know he has been masiha of a particular section of the society. जो काम उन्होंने दलित समाज के लिए किया है, that is exemplary. उस टाइम का और कोई भी लीडर जो है उस समय में दलित के इमेंसिपेशन के लिए जो काम कर रहे थे, उनमें सबसे ज्यादा काम जो है वो बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर जी ने किया है. बट कई बार हमारे माइंड में क्वेश्चन आता है, एज ए यंग रिसर्चर, एज अ टॉर्च बियरर ऑफ द न्यू इंडिया, वी ऑलवेज थिंक दैट वेदर ही वाज जेटिसन्ड इनटू वन रोल अलोन. क्या अंबेडकर सिर्फ दलितों के ही मसीहा थे? क्या? और इसमें सही बात भी है, क्योंकि उन्होंने डाउन टोडन्स दलित्स के लिए बहुत काम किया, बहुत उनके वेल बीइंग के लिए काम किया. बट ही वाज मच मोर देन दैट, right? If I talk about, there was a constitutionalist Ambedkar, there was a philosophical Ambedkar, there was logical or rational Ambedkar, there was a nationalist Ambedkar, there was a social reformist Ambedkar. So his ideas were mainly characterized in the three themes, that is ideology, politics, and the social reform. So no doubt he drafted Indian Republic's most sacred book. He called on millions to dream of equality, right, and justice. He steadfast in his beliefs. His arguments were full of logic. His passion for justice, that was inspired by the generations of the political leaders, right? So today we are marking 131st birth anniversary. We celebrate it as Equality Day, but vis-a-vis, we are to see what is his legacy, how his ideas shaped the modern India. Although he was a prolific writer, we all can understand him better through his writings. But there was a fighter in him, right? When he saw the injustices by the British, when he saw the caste system was a norm, when everyday discrimination that turned him into a revolutionary. He was disgusted by the way Dalits were treated. It's very important to discuss his educational prowess, which would help to define him. Because if I talk about कि अगर अंबेडकर आज अंबेडकर हैं, बाबा साहिब बने तो because of his education. He took the charge of his life. Right? So he believed in logic and rationality. Most social reformers, they used religion to oppose the discrimination, including Mahatma Gandhi. When Mahatma Gandhi used the term Harijan for the people coming from the Dalit community, Harijan means the children of the God. Right? So but Ambedkar did not bank on the religion to fight the casteism. Right? For him, system was flawed. Whether there is a religion, there is no religion, the system was flawed. The system was dominated by a few. That is what Ambedkar fought for. So, when we talk about religion, that's why he converted into his last days to Buddhism. So, the peers believed that they could reform Hinduism from within, but he disagreed. But India does not remember Ambedkar as a man of logic. He has forever been christened as Dalit icon, and he was. He has done more for India's Dalit than any other leader. But he should not be jettisoned into that role alone, because there is much more to him. When I quote Ambedkar's, he says, I measure the progress of a community by the degree of the progress which women have achieved. By this, we can see him as a feminist icon. I again quote, a great man is different from an eminent one in that he is ready to be the servant of the society. Right? When I say this, there was a civil servant in him. He was a civil servant par excellence. But today's Indian civil service is mired in the inefficiency and corruption. It is not a service anymore, it's a job. And when I am saying this, people are not bad, individuals are not bad. I'll be talking about it when in the later part of my lecture, where Ambedkar gave 3 such warnings before adoption of the constitution by the Constitution Assembly. Right? So his talk on the spirituality and intellect, that was clear. He said cultivation of mind should be the ultimate aim of the human existence. जब वो कहते हैं कि अपना माइंड शार्प कीजिए, और इसी वजह से उन्होंने अपनी जो एजुकेशन के बिना किसी भी तरह की लड़ाई को नहीं पकड़ा. He took the education himself first, and on basis of that education he fought for his and his community's rights and the people of India's rights. He says कि society जो है has been divided. Everyone talks of his or her own rights. No one listens to each other. No one is remembered by the duties. So cultivating the mind is a good idea. Listening to all the voices is a good idea, which is missing in present day scenario. So if we talk about understanding of Ambedkar, we can understand him through most of his beliefs. What were his beliefs? I will mention. The must like to mention the poor, the elderly, the women, those all those who were in distress. So today, the leaders have appropriated him, reduced him to a picture just on a billboards. That is a problem. He was not just a Dalit leader, he was the maker of the modern India, a beacon of the social justice. So I can say that if we talk about equality, liberty, and fraternity as provided by the Ambedkar, the ideas of the Ambedkar, he declared that equality, liberty, equality, and fraternity, the people from the particular the base of it, social democracy. अगर मैं बात करूं, प्रोफेसर अमरजीत सिंह नारंग हमेशा कहते थे कि 1947 में हमने पॉलिटिकल डेमोक्रेसी तो अचीव कर ली, लेकिन वी फेल टू अचीव द सोशल डेमोक्रेसी विच अंबेडकर यूज्ड टू डिस्कस अबाउट. So a lot has been changed, and the much has been changed in recent past. So when I talk about the social democracy in Ambedkar's term, he meant a way of life which recognized the liberty, the कि लॉ पॉलिटिकल डेमोक्रेसी तो हमने कर ली. देर आर सो मेनी लॉज फॉर द अपलिफ्टमेंट ऑफ द डिस्ट्रेस्ड, राइट? बट in today's scenario there are still we can say the incidents of aggression, or we can say the incidents of distress against the community are prevalent. Secondly, he says a democratic form of government presupposes a democratic form of society. And time and again, he puts on emphasis on the society when he says that. And in 1947, his main efforts that resulted into the achievement of the political democracy, but afterwards of that, the achievement of the social democracy is the goal. So in his speech, the annihilation of the caste, which was somehow it was not delivered, but it was published later on by himself, he emphasizes on the interdining and the intermarriages concepts. Interdining concept originally belonged to Gandhi, but he goes further. Ambedkar says that interdining is not enough. There should be intermarriages that will solve the problem. The fusion of the blood will solve the problem. So I understand the caste in the society is a notion. It is the state of mind. if I share my example, my experience in life, a real time experience, a person, I did not ask any kind of caste before living with him, but वी शेयर्ड एवरीथिंग वी हमने एक प्लेट में खाना खाना खाया, हम एक कमरे में रहते थे। आई यूज टू स्टे इन द हॉस्टल, तो रखा भी किसी तरह का कोई ऐसा विश्वास उसको नहीं होने दिया, किसी तरह की महसूस नहीं होने दिया कि दैट पर्सन बिलोंग्स टू अ पर्टिकुलर कास्ट। इवन आई डिडंट न्यू इट दैट द माई फ्रेंड बिलोंग्स टू दिस कास्ट, बट when I heard some words about me from his mouth after the end of the tenure, I was shocked. मुझे बहुत धक्का लगा कि मैंने तो किसी भी तरह की कमी नहीं होने दी, लेकिन कमी कहाँ पे रहेगी। सो देन आई गॉट टू अंडरस्टूड दैट कास्ट इज अ नोशन जो कि दिमाग में घुस चुकी है। एवरीवन have not understood Ambedkar in holistically. We have not understood his message of educate, organize, and agitate in the most of the fights against the injustices. And I always see that it is this message has been got some sort of partially transferred to the folks, right? So they have understood only to organize and agitate, but the Ambedkar's emphasis on the education, that was being misled, because Ambedkar himself, we are to emulate the Ambedkar. We are not just to hero worship him. Today, if I talk about various questions out of regarding the Ambedkar, when I talk about the Ambedkar, the various questions that come to one's mind, that is, the first is ki, does India need to be reminded about Ambedkar, who Ambedkar really was? Is he being boxed into this symbol of Dalits? That is all. Second question, isn't that especially true with the Ambedkar, because he is relevant much more today than in the earlier times, right? So when we talk about Ambedkar, we are being mistook in some way that these are the persons who are talking about the reservation. There is a debate on the reservation, right? And it is some sort of, we can say, the misleading of Ambedkar. We have not understood the Ambedkar in the real terms. Guilty of doing that today, right? So have we done same thing to him? So these are the questions when we talk about the Ambedkar, but um, in the real sense, we have not understood him through his various teachings, right? So before the adoption of the Constitution of India, Ambedkar focused on the three warnings that were given just in a lecture just before the adoption of the Constitution on 26th of November, and the speech was given by him on 25th of November. He gave three warnings to the fellow constituent members, through those members, to the people of India at large. What were those three warnings that are being relevant in today's shape modern India, in today's new India? So Ambedkar was concerned about the plight of the downtrodden, but he was also concerned constitution. Maybe it is sure to turn out bad because those who are called to work it happen to be a bad lot. As a British diplomat Karl Ross puts in his book The Leaderless Revolution. So he says that democracies facilitate an honorable agreement between the people who are the electors and the government which is being elected. So unfortunately, people, we hardly know about our constitution well. The sections of the society whose interests the constitution tends to protect, they know a little or a lot only about those sections of the constitution that are intended to safeguard those which deals with ourselves only. So that is why the Prime Minister of India thought of having a different Constitution Day, right? So to raise awareness about it and to educate the masses about this Constitution. So going further, what were those three warnings? What was those warnings all about? The first warning is that Ambedkar asked the Constituent Assembly that will India maintain her independence? We were independent once before coming of the aggressors, but this time we have got independence by the struggle. Will we able to maintain this independence? Because it has lost once because of the infidelity and treachery of some of our own people. हमारे अपने लोगों के धोखे की वजह से हम एक बार अपनी इंडिपेंडेंस खो चुके हैं. क्या अब ये जो दोबारा हमें आज़ादी मिली है, क्या हम इसको जो है परपेचुएट कर पाएंगे, बचा पाएंगे? Constitutional governance, it faces challenges from the internal limbs. What are those limbs? That is the organs of the government: judiciary, bureaucracy, and the political establishment. And these, in spite of these three internal organs, we have challenges from the external also. The challenge from the certain group representative of the masses. I will talk about it. कि ना उनको कोई लेना देना है the kind of judicial activism presented by the judiciary, and lot more cases are there, and there is a data that how many cases are pending these days. It is about the internal sources or the internal limbs that are making the country making a hindrance to the country's development. Second, the challenge from the constitutional government, right? The government, when I talk about it, is the bureaucracy. I already talked that not the individuals bureaucrats are bad, but the bureaucracy as a system and as an institution, it has the potential to of derailing the efforts of the political establishment, right? So इसके साथ ही जब हम देखते हैं दैट देयर कम्स द रोल ऑफ द पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज, ये सारी बातें जो हैं अंबेडकर ने lead above the country during the time of the election, and since the independence of this country, why a particular instrument used to perpetuate their own rule. They used Ambedkar to fit into their propaganda and to perpetuate their own rule. But in the recent years, in the recent past, if we compare the starting years with the new millennium years, we see a lot of difference, right? So हमने देखा कि रिसेंटली कैसे पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज जो है फर्क लेके आ रही हैं. दे प्लेस क्रीड अबव द कंट्री. जब भी इलेक्शन आती है बात होनी शुरू हो जाती है कि आप किस कास्ट से बिलोंग. Large number of the group based regional parties emerged with the strong constituencies of their own. So, if we talk about globally, territorial nation states, they are engaged in the ideological battles. There is the battle of capitalism versus communism, democracy versus the authoritarianism. As if we see the Arab Spring, right? So, free world versus the excess of evil. But in this times, we ignored the more primal group identities that are most important and the strongest to make a nation. Ambedkar always wondered, we as a society are divided into different castes, into makes Ambedkar relevant in today's time is that the third challenge that come from the causes that largely the liberals of this country champion, जो समय समय पर इश्यूज लेके जो सो कॉल्ड जो टॉर्च बियरर्स ऑफ द लिबर्टी, जिनको हम लिबरल्स बोलते हैं, कम्युनिस्ट भी कह देते हैं, सो दे पिक अप द मायोपिक concepts. They use the systemic loopholes. They attempt to subvert the very spirit of the constitution itself. So in this, they get help from their fellow ideological travelers in the various institutions, important institution. सब जगह पे लोग बैठे हैं जो उनको हेल्प करते हैं. Their agendas are narrow. But they are largely unconnected with the reality of the masses. They sometimes co-opt the political actors, or sometimes they become the political actors, but not really accountable to any of them. इसको थर्ड वार्निंग को समझने के लिए वी हैव एग्जांपल्स. फर्स्टली दैट सबरीमाला टेम्पल इशू, in the name of the gender equality, in the state where a matriarchal society is there, but the bosses of the state, they were, their god was Marx, and they immediately started some sort of interruption to the age-long tradition. Then, if I talk about the recent issues which we have in minds, is hijab controversy in Karnataka, right? So they took up some sort of narrow agendas. They have their hidden agendas. They do not have any public backing, but their influence is enormous. When we have seen the protest in the name of the Citizenship Amendment Act, how much of we can say कितना डर जो है लोगों के मनों में बनाया गया कि आप एक पर्टिकुलर रिलीजियस कम्युनिटी के मन में डर बना दिया गया. Needed in these laws, but the governments or the rulers have to take care of the majority of the people. If someone have any kind of किसी को भी कोई ये डर लगता है, गवर्नमेंट ने टाइम एंड अगेन अपना आश्वासन दिया कि ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, फिर भी जो चलता आ रहा है, ये था अंबेडकर का तीसरा डर. तो उनको लगता था कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बनने के बाद कैसे लोग इसको चलाएंगे, कैसी ब्यूरोक्रेटिक सिस्टम इसको ठीक से चला पाएगा या नहीं. और उनके बाद जो एक पार्टी ने 1975 में जो इमरजेंसी का जो एक धब्बा हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पे, जो बाबा साहेब अंबेडकर की जो आइडियाज और उनकी मेहनत पे जो पानी फेरा है, वो भी हम नहीं भूल पाए हैं. और उसके बाद कई बार फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच एंड एक्सप्रेशन को लेके जो फर्स्ट हर कोई ये कह रहा है, उनकी राइटिंग्स में से 3-4 राइटिंग्स निकाल के वो लेके आता है सामने कि ये देखिए जी बाबा साहब अंबेडकर हिंदुइज्म के कितने खिलाफ थे, ये देखिए जी बाबा साहब अंबेडकर अपर कास्ट के कितने खिलाफ थे. बिल्कुल नहीं, बाबा साहब अंबेडकर किसी रिलीजन के खिलाफ नहीं थे, बाबा साहब अंबेडकर किसी अपर कास्ट के खिलाफ नहीं थे, बाबा साहब अंबेडकर सिस्टम के खिलाफ थे. he gave a solution. He was also a solution oriented. He gave a solution ki there what kind of economic system should be there, what kind of political system should be there, what kind of social system should be there. So बाबा साहब ने इसका solution भी दिया. अगर वो लोग जो कहते हैं कि बाबा साहब हिंदुइज्म से हेट करते थे, तो मैं उनका जो बाबा साहब का जो फिलोसफिकल अवतार है उसको मैं अगर बात करूं, तो बाबा साहेब को अगर हम बुद्धा और स्वामी विवेकानंद के एंगल से देखते हैं तो हमें पता चलता है कि बाबा साहब अंबेडकर हिंदुइज्म के खिलाफ बिल्कुल भी नहीं थे. ही एडमायर्ड बुद्धा एंड Swami Vivekanand altogether when he says that Buddha is the greatest soul India has produced and Swami Vivekanand is the greatest man India has produced. So बात वही है कि अंबेडकर को हमने इतना छोटा कर दिया है, so to meet our narrow एजुकेट कीजिए, फिर ऑर्गेनाइज कीजिए, फिर एजिटेट कीजिए अगर जरूरत पड़े तो. मैं अपना पंजाब यूनिवर्सिटी में रोज देखता हूं कि एक पेटी इश्यूज को लेके जो है पार्टीज जो है प्रोटेस्ट करती रहती हैं. तो उन्होंने तो प्रोटेस्ट जो है उसको तो बस लीडर्स के नाम पे, मतलब फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच एंड एक्सप्रेशन, राइट टू प्रोटेस्ट के नाम पे, तो मतलब प्रोटेस्ट की सैंक्टिटी ही खत्म कर दी है। तो ये जो चीजें थी बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर, जिसके बिल्कुल जिस चीजों के खिलाफ लड़े, जिन चीजों के डर से उन्होंने ये 3 तरह की वार्निंग्स कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अडॉप्ट करने से पहले हमारे सामने रखी, वही जो है आज की डेट में भी वो सभी वार्निंग्स जो है हमारे लिए रेलेवेंट हैं टू शेप द न्यू इंडिया। एंड दिस न्यू इंडिया हैज, जिसको हम कह सकते हैं कि नए भारत में बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर की जो सोच, उनकी जो जो ड्रीम्स थे, वो जो है वो सच हुए हैं। वो कैसे? बिकॉज बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर वॉज वेरी मच अगेंस्ट द आर्टिकल 370, जिसका आप संवाद जो उनका राजा के साथ वहां के साथ था, उसमें आप देख सकते हैं कि बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर जो थे आर्टिकल 370 के पक्ष में नहीं थे। एंड द प्रेजेंट गवर्नमेंट has done away with Article 70. This dream has come true, which Baba Sahib has at that time. And another important concept of the Uniform Civil Code, which Baba Sahib thought that at that time we have a fragmented society, and he put that Uniform Civil Code article in the directive principles of the state polity, that in the future course of action, when the situation is ripe, when the society has some sort of adhesion, we can implement Uniform Civil Code in this country, because his whole fight was against the division of the society on the caste basis. करते हैं कि नाउ जो है देयर इज अ डिवीजन बिटवीन द अर्बन एंड द रूरल। रिजर्वेशन की जरूरत है, कोई नहीं कहता कि नहीं जरूरत है, टू अपलिफ्ट, क्योंकि आज भी जो है के लिए जो बाबा साहब कहते हैं कि एजुकेशन चाहिए, तो एजुकेशन की जरूरत है। बट द पॉइंट इज दैट कि हमें ये देखना पड़ेगा कि दोज हु हैव सेटल्ड डाउन इन अर्बन एरियाज एंड दोज आर इन रूरल एरिया, दैट आर टू बी टेकन इन टू अकाउंट। मैं इस बहस में ज्यादा नहीं पढ़ना चाहता, लेकिन मेरा मैसेज जो आज के यूथ को यही है कि आप बाबा साहिब को एक बार होलिस्टिकली पढ़िए, और उनकी कोई हीरो वर्शिपिंग की जरूरत नहीं है। जो करना चाहता है करे, आई एम नॉट स्टॉपिंग हिम और हर, बट पढ़ना ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है, उनको समझना ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है। मैं आज एक यंग रिसर्चर के नाते जो है, मुझे जब मौका दिया डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ हायर एजुकेशन हरियाणा ने, तो मुझे खुशी भी थी कि मैं अपने विचार एज ए मिलेनियल, एज ए न्यू पार्ट ऑफ द न्यू जनरेशन, एज ए रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ऑफ द मॉडर्न इंडिया, हम बाबा साहब को कैसे देखते हैं। हमारी तरफ से कोई ऐसा जो है कमी नहीं रहनी चाहिए कि हम अपने बाबा साहब को किसी दूसरी तरह से इंटरप्रेट करते हैं। हम उनकी राइटिंग्स को अच्छे तरीके से पढ़ें, समझें, और एक समरस भारत बनाने की जो बात बाबा साहिब ने जो उस टाइम पे रखी थी, और उन्हीं के ही नक्शे कदमों पे ये जो नया भारत है, ये जो न्यू इंडिया है, बाबा साहिब को आज मोर रेलेवेंट बनाता है पिछले समय से, जब उनके ड्रीम्स जो है वन बाय वन दैट आर टू बी टुवर्ड्स द नेशनल इंटीग्रेशन ऑफ इंडिया। ही वॉज ए नेशनलिस्ट ऑल्दो। सो if I sum up with these points, I must say that do not appropriate Baba Sahib in just a picture or a billboard. So his regard and reverence and respect for the religions, but that is to be taken into notice. But his fight was against the system. Now system has changed. We must look into that. There is no not any kind of denial of rights to the particular weaker section of the society. Everyone has the equal opportunity. We have to sit together and discuss. हमें संवाद करना है, हमें वाद विवाद नहीं करना है, हमें संवाद करना है। So Baba Sahib was a spiritualist in a way when he talks about Buddha, when he writes about Buddha, and when he praises Swami Vivekananda. Ambedkar ji was nationalist when he says that there should be a uniform civil code. The J&K should be the integral part of the India. There should not be Article 370. He stood for the integration of the country. And most importantly, what Baba Sahab's ideas or teachings has been taken as inappropriately is that we are to remove the caste. We are to make equal society, right? Egalitarian society. But nowadays we have also seen the misuse of particular laws, particular sections of the legal laws, that is misused by the people of coming from the same community. This was also the warning by Baba Sahib Ambedkar, that if the people of the country who have ideals, we remember these great personalities on birth and their death anniversaries, just to interpret or to get close to their vision of the nation, vision of the society, welfare of all the national beings, and above all the welfare of the humanity, by making a great country, by making a great society. के साथ मैं आज का जो है अपनी वाणी को विराम देता हूँ. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर प्रोवाइडिंग मी अ चांस, डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ हायर एजुकेशन हरियाणा, एंड आई होप दैट इन फ्यूचर also I would be looking forward for a chance by with another topic.